Thank you very much for listening to this week's talk on the Sedra of Yitro. And the Sedra is especially famous for the first time in the Torah, first out of two times, that the Aseres Hadibros, often translated as the Ten Commandments, but more accurately translated as the Ten Utterances. And that is, I think, the most significant event that is associated with this Sedra. What I would like to try to show is the idea that this Sedra, and using the Aseres Hadibros as the focal point, is not just following in order from last week's Sedra of Bashalach, not just following in geography as the Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, leave Egypt and go on a physical journey that takes them to the Yam Suf, to the Sea of Reeds, which miraculously parts for them. They then continue their journey in the desert until they reach Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, where they receive the Ten Commandments. I would like to suggest that the experience at the Reed Sea, at the Yam Suf, Kriyas Yam Suf, is an integral part, is a fundamental preparation for preparing for being able to receive the Aseres Hadibros. And I think that if we look carefully, we can find a lot of similarities and also allusions from what happened at the Yam Suf to what happens at Har Sinai. The first thing, the obvious point, is that there is revelation at Kriyas Yam Suf. We mentioned last week that the entire people experienced heightened levels of prophetic insight from the very, very bottom of the people in terms of social status. The maid servant who was on the milking stool had the same level of prophecy as Yecheskel ben Buzi, and this was a experience that was shared by all levels, all of the population. And similarly, this revelation was at Har Sinai, this unique concept that Hashem appears to an entire nation. There's no private audience with a prophet or with a disciple, but this is something that is open to the entire people, not only in terms of Har Sinai, not even only those who are physically present, but the neshamas, the souls of every single human being. The Jewish people were present at Har Sinai, and this is something that is absolutely unique. So the two experiences of revelation, although different, they are both a revelation that is experienced by an entire nation. The second similarity or second aspect that is present in both Kriyas Yam Suf, the splitting of the Reed Sea, and at Har Sinai is that there was miraculous healing that happened when the entire nation was on this high spiritual level, that somehow the physical perfection and healing seemed to mirror the reality of that heightened spiritual perfection. And we see this in a pasuk in Bashalach, when that is in chapter 15, verse 26. Vayomer im shema tishma lakol Hashem elekecha v'hayasha be'enav tasa. And he said, if you will surely listen to the voice of Hashem your God and do the right thing in his eyes, v'hazanta l'mitzvosav, and you will hearken to his mitzvahs, v'shamarta kol chukov, and you will guard all his statutes. Kol hamachala asher samti v'mitzrayim lo asim alecha, ki ani Hashem rafa'echa. Every illness that I have placed in against Egypt, I will not put on you, because I am God, your healer. And this miraculous healing in terms of what happened at Har Sinai, at Mount Sinai, is mentioned in a medrash, where there was, at that point of spiritual perfection and complete harmony with the oneness of Hashem. There's the idea that the blind saw and the deaf heard. There was absolute healing for everybody at that point. So at these unique, miraculous moments in our history, this is another shared characteristic. We have this concept of song this is the third one, song that is associated with Kriyas Yam Suf. We have Oz Yoshir, Moshe, and the song that Moshe and then later Miriam sings a song with the ladies. And this we can also find allusions to in the giving of the Aseres HaDibros. And this is perhaps less well known, and it's not one of the obvious associations that come to mind, that Aseres HaDibros were conveyed in song. But the posuk, the reference that I would like to use is where Moshe, the Torah tells us that Moshe spoke and Hashem would respond with a voice, and I will give you the reference to that. That is Shemos Yud Tes, so that is Al Sedra of Yitro. Psukim Tesvov to Yud Tes. So we just right, so yeah, it's actually the particular posuk is posuk Yud Tes. Vayhi kol hashofar holech b'chozek ma'od, and the voice, literally the voice of the shofar was increasing and getting stronger and stronger. Moshe yadaber, Moshe will speak. V'ha'elokim ya'aneh v'kol, and Hashem will respond by, it's not, the actual words are saying with a voice. I've got the translation that I've got here in the Gutnik is Hashem would respond by amplifying Moshe's voice. So the Gemara in Arachin, in 11a, says, Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, how do we know that the essence of song is from the Torah? Because Torah is referred to as song. Rabbi Yoshua says from the posuk that I've just read out, referring from here, Moses would speak and God would respond with a voice, referring to music, which the voice is engaged in. Rashi interprets, God commanded Moses to sing, for Moses was a Levite, the tribe known for its cantorial abilities. So the Gemara here is picking up on the Pesukim that talk about Moshe Yadaber, Moshe speaking, and Okim Ya'aneh B'Kol, that this kol is referring to a musical song. And the concept of music as penetrating, as being something that is a phenomenon that will enable people, sometimes if you can't necessarily reach them with a spoken word, with music, one is able to convey an emotion. The melody is something that uplifts, and we have that moment of melodious praise that is uttered at Kriyas Yam Suf. And similarly, we have this concept of song in the Aseres HaDibros, and it is, I think, it is necessary at the Aseres HaDibros because with this concept of song, it is something that is accessible to everyone, and each person is going to sort of take it through in their tailor-made, as it were, for their individual situation. And while the whole of the nation received the Torah, were present at Ma'amad Har Sinai, this melodious way of interpreting it is something that is beneficial in terms of giving over the message of the Aseret HaDibros. And I would like to suggest an allusion, actually, it's a play on words. If we look at Oz Yoshir Moshe, which is the beginning of the Shira at Kriyas Yam Suf, I would sort of have a space between Yud and Shir. Yud, which is the numerical value of 10, which would represent the Aseret HaDibros, and Shir, song. And so I think that we can find at concrete similarities. We can also find illusions based on traditions, based on various words used in different places, and based on a word play, as it were, to see this connection between the two. And I would like to suggest that just like we have the idea that we are very familiar with, that from Pesach, which is the holiday that commemorates Yetzias Mitzrayim, Exodus from Egypt, we have the Sefirat HaOmer, the Omer period, which connects leaving Egypt, Pesach, to Shavuos, to receiving the Torah. So we are familiar with that as being a process that the Bnei Israel had to go through in order to be ready to receive the Torah. I think what we have here is that the Jewish people at the Red Sea, are having an absolute foundation laid, so that when they come to Har Sinai, this revelation is going to change the world. And it is actually, the fact that it is said in the Sedra of Yitro is, and although the Jewish people accepted the Torah was given to the Jewish people, this was a moment of universal significance. And Yitro is not a Jewish person. He has the incredible honor that the portion of the Torah that's read and has the Aseret HaDibros is called by his name. He is forever associated with the Aseret HaDibros. And I think that this is alluding to this universality of the morality that is within the Aseret HaDibros, that is within the Torah. And while the non-Jewish nations are not bound by it, that is a morality that they can benefit from. And many people in the world subscribe to the monotheistic religion, belief in one God, which, although is not Judaism, but it is based on certain founding principles of Judaism. And another interesting proof, as it were, or something that we can use as evidence to show the connection between Kriyas Yam Suf and Matan Torah, are the fact that 3 mitzvahs were given, there's a debate as to which 3, were given just after Kriyas Yam Suf in last week's Sedra of Beshalach. And this was at Morah, when 3 days after Kriyas Yam Suf, the Jewish people are complaining because they haven't got water, and they go to Morah, this place so-called after the bitter waters, and the pasuk that refers to these mitzvahs, that is chapter 15, verse 25. So Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayitzak El Hashem, Moshe Rabbeinu calls out to Hashem, Vayerehu Hashem eitz, and Hashem showed them, it says that the translation is, he instructed him about a type of wood. And this word Vayerehu actually contains the root of Torah, which means instruction. Vayashlech El Hamayim, and Moshe Rabbeinu took this piece of wood and threw it into the water. Vayimteku Hamayim, and the waters became sweet. Shom som lo chok umishpat. There he put for him a statute and a judgment. V'shom nisahu, and there they they tested him. And so this or he tested them rather, there he tested the people. So this Chok u'Mishpat is actually interpreted by the rabbis to refer to 3 mitzvahs, and there's a difference of opinion. According to Rashi, the 3 mitzvahs given were the mitzvah of Shabbos, Para Aduma, and monetary claims. According to Ramban, Hashem gave information about the mitzvahs that were going to be given later. And again, this is underscoring how the people needed higher levels of preparation quite a while before they reached Har Sinai. We're accustomed to associating the 3 days before they actually received the Torah, known as the Shloshes Yemei Hagbala, the 3 days of preparation. And that, we understand they had to separate from their wives, and they had to make sure that they were clean, and they were really preparing themselves for this unique experience. But according to Nachmanides, to the Ramban, they were getting the information about the mitzvahs that they were going to receive in that time period at Har Sinai. And according to the Gemara in Sanhedrin, they were instructed about the monetary laws, Shabbos, and Kibbud Av V'Aim. And the Gemara, according to the Gemara, we've got the sort of the civil laws and Shabbos. The people were taught about Shabbos, and also the mitzvah of honoring parents. And this is all coming together, that the experience at the Yam Suf, the lessons of faith, that although they were never going to be achieved by just witnessing the spectacle, and not only witnessing but participating, actually going through physically the sea, but that was also part of a preparation for Matan Torah. And the everything that is in the Torah is building up to that moment of Matan Torah. Matan Torah, the giving and receiving of the Torah, is not just a one-time event. It is a revelation that happened at that point in time in the year 2448, but it is something that the heavenly voice goes out every day. And even more than that, when we look back at creation, there is a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, chapter 5, Mishnah 1, and that is Asara Mamoros Nivra Ha'olam. With 10 utterances, the world was created. So the rabbis go to the Sedra of Bereshis, and they count up Vayom Hashem and everything that was created after Vayom Hashem, and they count out 10 of those. And they said that with 10 utterances, the world was created. And they make a connection between these 10 utterances and the creation of the world and the Aseres HaDibros. And I think that from the point of creation, the purpose, not just of going out of Egypt, not just of crossing through the Red Sea, but really from the very beginning of time, that this is what the world has been in motion, has been made for. This is the acceptance of the Aseres HaDibros by Bnei Yisrael. And as the Am HaNivchar, as the chosen people, to radiate these principles and that light that comes from the wisdom of the Aseres HaDibros and the Torah. And this is something that we can see so many connections, and it's not just about reading last week's Sedra of Bashalach and then thinking we're coming on to a new and very exciting episode, which it really is. It is about connecting the dots. It's about realizing that everything plays an integral part. Everything is leading towards Har Sinai, and the momentous events that happen there still echo and reverberate on a constant basis And it's about us being able to tune into the frequencies, about applying ourselves to the concepts, looking carefully at the words of the Torah that describe all of this, and really finding the parallels and lessons that we can learn. And the more we learn and the more we delve into it, the more we can appreciate and be inspired on a constant basis by its contents. Thank you so much for listening, and wishing everybody Shabbat Shalom.